everyone, welcome to your channel Data Science Studio, and today we are going to start with day 17 of Python programming for data science. So let's get started. So in today's session we'll be discussing about Pandas DataFrame, which is the part 3, and we'll be covering some of the very important methods and functions that can be used for data processing and aggregation as well. The first important method which we want to discuss is group by. So the group by method in Pandas DataFrame groups your data into categories and applies a function on top of it. So basically in our data pre-processing, we would want to aggregate, or in doing our exploratory data analysis, we would want to aggregate our data at certain categories. So for that, group by function is very helpful. And there are various functions that can be applied to a group by object. So let's get our data. This is our data set. Now if you see the group by object, so I am trying to create a group by object based on this column embarked. Now if we can use the method group by, and it will actually create a group by object. Now if you want to get values from this group by object, you have to apply a function on top of it, and you can pass a column name also. For example, I would want to know that based on this embarked, what is the mean age. So I can calculate like this. So this is the mean age values based on the embarked column. Similarly, I can check the count of survived column. So this is the count of survived column for the embarked. So how many have people, what is the count of values in the survived column based on the embarked as a category. And you can also do a kind of filtering. For example, this get underscore group method will actually select that particular group. So in this particular group by, we have 3 categories. One is C, Q and S. Now if I have to filter out all those rows which falls in the category S, then I can use get underscore group. So here you can see all the rows are of embarked, which is S. I can also perform a aggregate method, and I can calculate the mean age of the embarked column on the column age. For example, if I want to find what is the mean age of people who have different categories based on the embarked, so I can pass the aggregate method as well, and this becomes very useful when you want to slice and dice your data, which we will also be seeing in our EDA series. Now another important function which is called as rolling, and this is basically used for time series data when you want to calculate any particular metric based on the rolling average or rolling window calculation. By rolling I mean, so let's say there is a data frame. This is our data frame, and I want to calculate the sum of the 3 consecutive observations or rows in the data set. So if I do like this, what will happen is the first 2 rows will be null, because for the first 2 rows 3 values are not present. Only from the third value is the sum of first 3 values. So 12 plus 23 plus 21 is 56. Similarly, this will give us the sum. You can apply any kind of method like mean as well to get the mean value of the first 3 observations, and this rolling window can change based on your requirement. It can be 2, so it will have the mean of first 2 observations, and this rolling function is very important when we will be doing date time functions or the time series projects in our future sessions. Next important method is describe. So whenever you get any data, you would want to understand what is the descriptive statistics for a data frame. That includes measure of central tendency, measure of dispersion, and what is the shape of the data set distribution, and it excludes the null values. So for that we have a describe method. So let's say this is our data set, and now the descriptive statistics differs based on your data type as numeric or categorical. If your data type is numeric, I am describing the data type and I am including all those data types, whether it is number, it could be integer or float, and I am transposing that matrix. So here if you see, you will get a kind of a data frame which will have all the columns as the rows and the count, mean, standard deviation, min, 25th percentile, 50th percentile, 75th percentile, and max. So these are the values are very important to understand what is the spread of your data. So this 25th it is quantile, so which means that this is the point observation below which 25% of your data lies. So if you are not very clear with this quantile concept, you can go through our statistics series and you will get to know everything in detail over there as well. Now if you want to do the categorical data, you can do the same. Here you get the categorical data. Top is not making meaningful over here, but count, unique, and frequency will tell you about the categorical data. So there is a difference between what is the descriptive statistics for a numeric or a categorical data. Another important method, which is from the perspective of time series again. If your index is a date specific and you want to calculate the percentage change of the values between the current and the prior item, you can use the percentage change method. So here I am using the percentage change. The first value will be always null because there is no prior value to it. From second value onward, it will give the percentage change. So 23, the percentage change between 23 and 12 is 90%, which means it is 90% increased from the previous value. So on and so forth for others as well. Now what happens is, sometimes you might have null values in the data set. So in the earlier versions of this method, if you have null values in the data set, it will kind of give null value where the null value is present. So it will not calculate percentage for that. But in the current method, it will remove it with 0. What you can also do is, you can pass the fill method as forward fill. This f fill stands for forward fill. What forward fill will do is, it will actually copy your previous value so that it does not give a null value in the percentage change. It will be just like this 0. So if it copies the previous value, the percentage change will be 0 because both the values will be same. So like this also you can do, where you will have the 0 wherever nulls are present. Next method, very important, is if you want to identify the number of distinct elements in the axis specified, which could be your index or which could be your column, and this method returns a series. So let's say we have our data set and we want to count the number of unique values for all the columns. So by default it will give all the columns, and this is for all the columns you will get the number of unique observations in the data set. So for P class we have 3 unique values, for survived we have 2 unique, and this becomes very helpful if you have categorical data and you want to understand what are the different kind of categories present inside the variable. Similarly, you can do for axis equal to 1, which is it will perform for all the columns and give the details at row level. So here you can see I am taking the first 5 rows. So all the values in the first 3 rows, there is one null value present in one of the columns. So that's why drop NA is equal to true. So there are total 10 columns, out of which in the first 3 rows one of the column is null. like this. So next is value underscore counts. Value underscore counts is also a very helpful method if you want to count the number of unique rows in a data frame, and it is very helpful if you want to count the number of values in a categorical data. So let's say this is our data set and I want to count the values in the unique values in the embarked column, and where the ascending is equal to false. Ascending equal to false means it will give in the descending order, and drop NA equal to true. So it will not consider the NA values while counting. So if you do this, so these are the different values. So there are 914 observations for Southampton category. So here you can get a glance like what are the total number of observations present in the data set. So here you can see that Southampton is the most prominent category in the Titanic dataset. Similarly, if you want this value count at multiple levels, you can pass a parameter subset, and you can specify multiple columns by passing a list. So what will happen if you run over here? You will get a series like this. So this data you have to read at various levels. For example, when P class is equal to 3, survived is 0, embarked is S, there are 391 observations. So you will get to know at various levels of combinations what is the count of distinct values. Next method is drop method. We have already seen one method which is pop, which is used to remove the columns. Similarly, you can use the drop method to either remove the columns or rows from a data frame. So let's say we have our data set and we want to drop this name and ticket column. So we can just pass the list as the parameter, specify the access equal to 1 for columns like this. You can also do by specifying in this manner, by specifying the columns equal to name and ticket, it will do the same functionality. If you want to drop the rows, you have to specify the index of the rows like this. For example, I want to drop the first and the third row. So it will be the row with the 0 and the third index is dropped from the data set. So you can drop the rows. By default, it is axis will always be 0. So it drops the rows from the data frame. Another method is if you want to drop duplicates in your data set. So let's say that this is my data set and this data set has 1309 observations or rows. Now at column level, there are no duplicates. So if you see, when I am trying to use drop duplicates on a data frame, then what it does is it will try to identify the unique values for all the data columns. So it will see whether all the columns are having any kind of similar values in another row, and it will drop those duplicates. It will consider all the columns by default if you are not passing this subset parameter. Now what this subset parameter will do, I want to remove duplicates based on only age and embarked column. So there could be many duplicates based on age and embarked column. So here if you see, so you can see that there are only 201 rows uniquely identifies as age and embarked. So it depends on your need how you want to drop your duplicates, whether you want to drop your duplicates at a data frame level or whether you want to drop duplicates at a column specific level. The next and one of the last method is filter, which is again very important and is used to subset or select rows or columns based on the specified index labels. Default is row. So now let's say that I want to filter my columns. So there are various ways which we have seen already how you can filter your columns, but this is one of the way. And here you can pass the items parameter. So items will take all the columns which you want to filter it out. Let's say that I want to filter 4 columns from the data set. I can pass that inside the filter method. So if you see, it will filter out only 4 columns. So this is also a very important method, and when you want to slice and dice your data at multiple levels. Now let's say there's a trick. Now if you want to select every alternate rows, for example, this is a regular concept of regular expression. We'll be having couple of sessions on regular expressions as well, but what this regular expression is doing is it is trying to identify every even row in the data set. So it says that 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, all the even rows in the data set will be identified by using this regular expression. This is just an example how you can filter out only even rows using the filter method like this. So you can see that only even rows are filtered out in the data frame. Similarly, if you have to filter out only odd rows, you can do like this. So here all the odd rows are filtered out. So these are some of the very important methods which you should be aware in Pandas, and Pandas is the most important library in terms of doing the exploratory data analysis on any kind of machine learning projects, or even if it is deep learning. So please subscribe, like and comment your channel and provide your feedback on the content. We will be posting the new video on the Pandas DataFrame shortly. Stay tuned and stay connected. Thank you.